Since the first green flag waved this season, the Players Limited GM Motorsport Series has lived up to its reputation as Canada's most competitive racing from coast to coast. Each driver looking for any little advantage, racing on the very limit of their abilities and beyond. Drivers getting acquainted with each other and new tracks, and we've been there to witness it all. In the West, as the season draws to a close, a familiar face seems poised to take the championship for a fourth time. In the East, Richard Bernard and David Empringham wrestle for overall honors. The GM Motorsport Hour, brought to you by General Motors of Canada Limited and by Quality GM Parts, Players Limited of Canada, Priority Courier, and Sony of Canada. We're in Vancouver today, set to bring you the finals, East and West, for the Players Limited GM Motorsport Series. I'm Jim Paulson with Paul Chater. Not only the overall championship to be decided in these two competitions today, Paul.
No, the drivers are shooting for those top 6 positions in each division. The top 6 drivers from the East will meet the top 6 from the West at the Westwood Racing Circuit just near here for the season finale, $25,000 to the winner.
Competition has been tight for those 6th and final positions for the shootout. That will be decided, as well as the championships, today.
The sun shines over Race City, Calgary, where the cars prepare for the season's final race. The perfect race conditions guarantee an all-out fight on the road course.
And the cars are on the grid, awaiting starters' orders at Mosport Park for the Eastern Final. Let's start today by having a look at what's going to happen as far as the Eastern Championship is concerned in the Players Limited GM Motorsport Series, and that one is interesting.
It is. Richard Bernard is leading the championship at this point. The only man with a real chance to beat him is David Empringham in second place, but we should remember that David Empringham is also Richard Bernard's employee.
Well, I'm looking to win the race. I don't know what he's planning.
Well, I've looked at the points, and the only way I can beat him is if he DNFs, so I think I might hold back a bit until he gets up beside me, and then we'll see what happens there.
The top 6 drivers in this Eastern Final are going to go on to the shootout here near Vancouver. It's that 6th spot, though, that is not decided yet, Paul.
A 3-way battle at the moment. Doug Beatty leads. John Cadman Jr. is close behind him. Terry Betts has a mathematical chance, so we have to watch those 3. They have to finish in that order if Doug Beatty wants to go to the shootout.
And there's a relaxed and confident Doug Beatty Jr. You can't help but wonder if he isn't a little concerned about this man behind him on the grid, John Cadman Jr.
It will be playing on my mind, but the best thing I can do is just not even look in the rearview mirrors, not even forget about who's behind me. It's who ahead of me who I should concentrate on, and that's a problem that we got warned about at Cayuga, mirror driving. If I mirror drive, I'm going to make a mistake. I can't make a mistake. I have to always look ahead and look where I want to go.
One more title to be decided in this Eastern Final is that of Rookie of the Year. Very special honors there.
And an important title to watch. Kenny Wilden, who was last year's Rookie of the Year champion, made it into the shootout for 1990. So we should keep our eye on Chris Davies, who's leading at the moment, and Joe Lapsevich Jr., who's not too far behind.
What I lacked and what I thought I would be able to gain in this series is some close wheel-to-wheel, door-to-door competition, driving in heavy traffic, which I didn't have really any of that experience last year. And we certainly got that here in this series, and that's absolutely essential for any driver's experience when they're learning.
A surprise starter on pole today. Kenny Wilden's number 17 Tide car is a victim of the tight Vancouver street course. The question on everyone's mind is, can he stay up front?
Ken Wilden in his slightly damaged Tide car was 6th fastest. We'll start on the pole.
Beside Ken, David Empringham, who could win the championship with a strong finish only if Bernard does not finish.
Why is Doug Beatty Jr. smiling? He was 4th fastest, will start 3rd, and could clinch the last spot for the shootout.
Rob Fellows will start 4th, hoping to change his bad luck to good in this season finale.
John Cadman Jr. will line up his Camaro behind Doug Beatty Jr.'s. both competing for the final shootout spot.
And King Richard Spinard starts 6th, looking for his 3rd championship. He is the Sunoco Gold fastest qualifier.
Rows 4 and 5 have the Lapsovich brothers, Joe in row 4 and Jeff in row 5.
Peter Cohen and Howie Scannell Jr. were 11th and 12th fastest, starting in row 6. Caruso and Boyle in row 7.
Paul Lawler and John Kyle Jr. have had some great battles all year and start side by side in row 8.
Richard Was, 1990 Firebird, shares the last row with Terry Betts, who missed qualifying yesterday, but for a very good reason. We'll be back with the race start after this. Welcome back to the start of this Eastern Final from Mosport Park. And as the field come through in nice formation, look at Cadman here, 3rd back, really pushing Doug Beatty already.
There's a green flag. Kenny Wilden jumping out into a lead as they head into turn 1. David Empringham right beside him down through turn 1. Wilden on the inside.
I tell you, with all that damage, we didn't think Kenny would be that good off the start, but he's got himself a nice lead so far, at least getting down through corner 1 up toward 2, and now he loses it, Paul.
Bumping with Empringham over the crest of the hill into corner 2, one of the fastest and most difficult corners on any racetrack in North America. And David Empringham out front in car number 45. That's a white car. Behind him, the orange one, number 17 of Kenny Wilden. Then Doug Beatty Jr. running in 3rd spot. A good showing for him this early in the race.
Man who was really getting astray there was, in fact, John Cadman Jr., but he's got it back in line with the train now. And now that Empringham is out in front, he would appear to be running away by a car length or so, Paul.
Into the chute through turn 4 and now into Moss Corner. Corner number 5, the slowest portion on the track. There's Richard Spinard, car number 42. He's chasing down Rob Fellows as they head through corner 5 and up the long back straightaway.
Well, Kenny Wilden may have some damage in the car, but he certainly put in a nice flying lap there just toward the end of qualifying, and right now hanging on to Empringham very nicely as they head up toward that start-finish line one more time, Paul. What a train. Right in order here.
Long climb up the Andretti straight. There goes Spinard. He's moving. He's trying to pass Rob Fellows going into turn 8. They're side by side. Fellows in the blue car, Spinard in the white car as they head into turn 8. Now inside with Robin Buck. We can watch Spinard as he outbreaks Rob Fellows on the outside going into corner 8. A very brave move this early in the race.
Well, I think Rob tried to hold him off as best he could there, but in fact was not able to. Spinard is by. Now Richard is going to go to work on Doug Beatty Jr. I would think, considering past performance, that shouldn't be too much of a problem, Paul.
Look at this, down into turn 1. Kenny Wilden now being threatened by Doug Beatty Jr. on the inside through turn 1. Wilden's off his line, and Doug Beatty slips right through with car number 11. He's now into 2nd place. Rob Fellows in the blue and yellow car punching back at Spinard. Now look at this, out the back of Kenny Wilden's car. There's Spinard right behind him. Robin Buck on the far left of the screen, and the Pringles car, number 34, going around the outside. Oh, he gets in a little slide. He just barely hung onto it, and he slots in behind Spinard, having passed Rob Fellows over the crest of corner 2. That's just a beautiful maneuver.
A bad moment there, Paul, where we were wondering how Robin was possibly going to get in there ahead of Rob Fellows, but in fact he did. He's checked in very nicely on Spinard right now, and kicks up a little bit of dirt, in fact, coming out of that corner.
That took some courage to pass over the top of 2. That's a very tricky corner. It's very deceiving when you come up on it. Now, out the back of Kenny Wilden's car into corner 5, we can see Richard Spinard is pushing hard. He's right up behind Kenny through 5B. Actually gives him a little bump. Richard gets the car into a slide, and they're once again on their climb up the Andretti straight.
That's what we call the wing cam, and it's giving us a beautiful view of an attack that Spinard is trying to be successful with here on Kenny Wilden. But as we watch them now from the outside, we see that, no, Richard's still got some work to do on young Kenny.
Well, we can't forget that David Empringham is leading this race comfortably. There goes Spinard in car number 42. He's going to try to pass Kenny Wilden as they come up over the crest of the hill into turn 8. Spinard's going to try it on the outside under braking, just as he did when he passed Rob Fellows. Wilden sticks to the inside line, and Spinard can't do it, and he slots in behind him.
Whoa, he thought better of it there. Now he's going to go to the outside one more time. Looks like Robin Buck and the rest of the field are going to follow. It looks like they only screen by Kenny, but no, Kenny's doing his best to hold them off here.
Kenny has the best line into turn 10 down the front straightaway. Look at this. What a tight punch. Kenny Wilden now moving to the inside into turn 1 to try to shut off a pass from both Robin Buck and Richard Spinard. There's Spinard in the white car trying to go along around the outside on Kenny Wilden, and Robin Buck's going to try to follow him. Spinard right up on the speed curbing, heading into turn 2, and he's done it. Richard Spinard has picked up a position.
This has got to be too exciting. We got a win car here with Rob Fellows now as Kenny Wilden tucks directly in front of Rob. The war is for 6th place overall. There are 4 cars trying to fight this out here, and I get the feeling that Rob's about to make a move. He does on the inside.
Under braking into turn 3. Kenny Wilden, who started up front, has steadily slipped back, and Rob Fellows is about to put him one more position back. Look at that slide. The Rob Fellows in the blue and yellow car right behind Kenny Wilden, over the crest of turn 4, down into the gulch as they head up into turn number 5. Heavy braking, down 2 gears. Fellows chasing Kenny Wilden now, right up on his bumper, gives him a little tap through corner 5B.
Might be the one area in the track here, Paul, where you want to try to give them a little tap and edge them out, and that would be in the hairpin. Let's get back to our race leaders. David Empringham commandingly in front, and a surprise, young Doug Beatty Jr. is holding on to him here.
Doug spent an entire week out here testing his car, getting it ready for this race. He wants to make it into the final, into the shootout at Westwood. Look at this, under braking. He just storms by David Empringham into turn number 8. Beatty using all his brakes, just a beautiful maneuver. Powered straight by him, and Doug Beatty's now leading this event. David Empringham slips back into 2nd place. Spinard running in 3rd.
You know, in the entire history of this Players Limited GM Motorsport Series, and Doug Beatty has been quite a part of that over the years, we've never seen him drive so aggressively.
Oh, Rob Fellows, car number 2, off at turn 10. He must have been nudged in that pack. It's not like Fellows to make a mistake and go that far off the road.
Rob certainly lost a lot of ground here. Now, let's get a replay, Paul.
Inside John Cadman Jr.'s car in turn 8. Look at Fellows off to the left. He's got the car in a big slide trying to pass number 17, Kenny Wilden. He ducks through on the inside. Whoa, and gives Kenny a big nudge. Then comes back and gets hit by Cadman as he tries to get on the line, and that put him off the road.
And for John Cadman Jr., that means a visit along pit road. The crew are all over the car. They will hope to get him back into this race, but he shakes his head. He knows it's not going to be shootout for him this year.
Back to the leaders. Doug Beatty Jr., number 11, out front. David Empringham running in 2nd place, but he's got his boss, the old master, Richard Spinard, right behind him. Spinard moves to the inside under braking and effortlessly moves into 2nd place in front of David Empringham, car 45. And meanwhile, Robin Buck in the Pringles number 34 Firebird has pulled right up, and we've got a 4-car fight for the lead.
There's Art Beatty, Doug's dad, and the crew cheering him in along pit road. Now look at this. Cohen comes up on Chris Davies, tries to get by. No, in fact, they touch. Davies goes sideways, and just getting around all that war, Terry Betts.
Terry Betts just barely made it through. Let's have another look at it from the pit wall. Look at that. Davies in the red car, number 7, and Cohen, number 66, in contact coming out of turn 10. Now watch for Terry Betts. He just manages to slip right through. That's threading the needle through the traffic.
There's Wilden by, and Chris looks okay. He's going to carry on. He's got David Boyle up on him now, but look at the damage on that car, Paul. He really got banged up by Cohen there.
It looks to be just cosmetic damage. As we get back to the leaders into turn 5, there's number 11, Doug Beatty. Richard Spinard pressing him hard through Moss Corner in car number 42.
Oh, look at this. Spinard is right up on Beatty's tailpipe there, and you would think almost a nudge that time, but this aerial view is a beauty as we watch Spinard now try to go to work. Will he go to the outside or the inside? You know King Richard is going to strike soon. Comes in, tighter on Beatty one more time, makes the move toward the outside.
Classic, pulling out of the slipstream, going into turn 8. Spinard's on the outside this time. Beatty has shut him off the line going into turn 8, a right-hander. Spinard's on the brakes, Beatty's on the brakes. And he gets through into the lead. Now look at this. From David Empringham's car, number 34, Robin Buck has moved into 3rd spot.
So while we're glued on the war for who's going to be the overall leader, Robin Buck tippy-toes into 3rd place. Beautiful move. Our Goodyear mid-race leader, that's worth some tires and cash, is Richard Spinard.
And battling for 5th and 6th, there's Terry Betts on the inside through corner 8. Car number 3 is now into 5th place ahead of Jeff Lapsevich in car 22. And the other Sunoco car, Rob Fellows, is passing Joe Lapsevich. The two teams here having quite a battle with each other.
Rob Fellows doing a marvelous job considering the incident that he had earlier now, trying to carve his way back through this race field. Let's go in car with Joe Lapsevich. And now that Rob Fellows car begins to pull away, I think, from Joe at this point.
Through turn 1, we can see Fellows up ahead, a little bit up on the speed, curving over the crest of the hill at turn 2. A light dab on the brakes. There goes Terry Betts. There's Lapsevich, number 22. That's Jeff. And directly behind him, Rob Fellows chasing him down hard as they break into turn number 3.
In fact, Rob is right up on Jeff at this point, and he's going to do everything he can to get by. Young Jeff does not want to let him through. He's trying to gain as many points as he can, and of course, surprise money for this final run of the year. So he'll do what he can to hold Rob Fellows off, but we'll go in car here with Rob and see how he might attack. He has got not quite as tight a line to the inside of the course as he follows Jeff back down towards the hairpin here.
This is a good place to pass under braking. No, Fellows decides not to do it, but he does pull right up on Lapsevich as they go through turn 5B. He's in good position now to out-drag him up the Andretti straight.
Well, he does get off. In fact, there's pretty well side-by-side coming out of the hairpin, heading up the straightaway. And as they come into view once more, both of them screaming up now on Terry Betts. And will Rob get the advantage before corner 8? He'll certainly hope to. I think he's got it on the inside ball.
He's got the line. He tucks back in to set up for turn number 8, and he's done it beautifully. A great pass. He just used horsepower on the straightaway.
Standings after 18 laps, Richard Spinard, the race leader, followed by Doug Beatty Jr., Robin Buck, David Empringham, and we'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Motosport Park for the closing stages of the Players Limited GM Motorsport Series Eastern Final. Richard Spinard, our leader, but
look at this fight for second place. Doug Beatty Jr. in car number 11. In second, directly behind him, the Firebird of Robin Buck, number 34. And David Empringham in car number 45, right behind Robin Buck as they break through turn number 8.
Great battle happening here. Empringham has got to move up, though, if he's really going to challenge Spinard for this championship. And he does not have the advantage point at this point. We're in car with David as he tries to work on Robin Buck here in number 34. He's got to get by him, and the laps are running out.
Last lap through turn 1 for the final time. Empringham, number 45, the red and white car, chasing Robin Buck. Both of them well up onto the speed curve, coming out of turn 1. Empringham is setting up Buck for a pass. There goes Doug Beatty Jr., car number 11. He's running in second place.
Now, Doug is wise. He used the advice he offered earlier. He's not using his mirrors in this case, because if he saw what was happening here, Paul, it may shake him up in that second spot.
Look at this. Empringham trying everything he knows to get around Robin Buck. He's bouncing off the speed curves. He's braking late as they come out of turn 3 now. He's right behind Robin Buck. This is inside with David Empringham. Over the crest of the hill, down through turn 4.
And again, Empringham comes through, watches the brakes applied by Robin Buck here. They're both coming up on Beatty. They come down through the hairpin. Empringham has got to try to make a move now.
Both drivers trying as hard as they can. Buck locking up his wheels under braking into turn 5. This is the last attempt for David Empringham now up the back straightaway. There's Spinard out front in car number 42. He's in a comfortable position to win this race. Up the Andretti straight. In second place is number 11, Doug Beatty Jr. And there goes Spinard on his way to the checkered flag and a championship again for King Richard in car 42. Look at him through turn 8.
A well-fought and well-earned third championship for this man in front in number 42. But who is going to be second, third, and fourth?
Look at this. There's Robin Buck. And Empringham inside locks up his brakes, and he hits Robin Buck in the final corner. Both cars off the track.
Come on, Dave, baby. Come on, baby. All right.
The Motomaster crew cheering them on, and Empringham will cross the line in front of Robin Buck.
A literal drag race there after that incident. We've got to have a replay on this one, Paul. Let's look at this one more time from the helicopter.
Into turn 10. There's Spinard, the top car. Empringham in the white car moves the inside, locks up his brakes, gets the car sideways, and bumps into Robin Buck, throwing both the cars off into the dirt on the outside of turn 10.
Now the drag race is going to be out of the dirt in an attempt to get to this checkered flag. Empringham seems to have the advantage here. In fact, yes, Buck gets a little bit of sideways. Now Rob Fellows comes flying into view, screams up on Buck, beats him at the checkered flag.
And there's David Empringham finishing in third spot. What a battle right through to the last corner.
For Richard Spinard, his second victory this year, but it means a championship. Doug Beatty Jr. coming in second in a race. Rob Fellows, what a show. He spun out to 10th, finished 4th. And Terry Betts, he was at the back of the pack. He ended up 6th overall.
And the final championship standings in the East. Richard Spinard, the winner. Empringham second. Rob Fellows in third. And the final shootout spot goes to Doug Beatty.
So the Eastern titles are decided. Not quite as incident-filled as last year's final, but King Richard is back, Paul.
And the champion again. And Doug Beatty, what a great race for him to finish officially in second place and earn the 6th and final spot for the shootout at Westwood. And Chris Davies, 1990 Rookie of the Year.
Now, what's going to happen in the West? Can Frank Yallers make it 4 titles in a row? We're about to find out.
This has been the prevailing attitude in the West. Every position here is earned, and rubbing is a part of racing.
The large field is lined up for the Western Final. Last chance for many to make this year's shootout. That shootout, the subject of this week's Players Limited Profile.
The West will host this year's shootout at the Westwood Track in Coquitlam, just outside Vancouver. Last year's shootout, held at Mont Tremblant, an eastern venue, was dominated by the eastern drivers, with Robin Buck taking top prize. What motivates these drivers to try so hard to reach the shootout?
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons. One, of course, they're driver against driver. There's always that challenge, you know, the top six meeting the top six. There's also money. It's a $50,000 purse, $25,000 to the winner, $10,000 to second place, and I think it's $6,000 for third.
And the eastern drivers in the shootout, Richard Spinard, David Empringham, Rob Fellows, Robin Buck, Kenny Wilden, and Doug Beatty Jr. The western cast for the shootout stars three-time West champion and points leader Frank Allers. Supporting drivers include Kevin Dowler, Rick Payne, and Trevor Siebert, all with something to prove. Veteran Tony Morris cannot be forgotten as a serious shootout competitor. The message here seems to be, don't mess with the West. The East features a team of Spinard and Empringham, finishing first and second in points this season. But the shootout can have only one winner. With the Eastern drivers taking all three top shootout positions last year, will the Western drivers be able to dominate it at their track this year?
I think all of us Western drivers that are in the shootout are going to say, come on, come play at our home court.
I think that an Eastern driver will win the shootout again, but it may be closer.
I'd just like to wish him the best of luck, and yeah, I didn't really get a chance to run with him at Vancouver. It was a little disappointing, so I'm really looking forward to the opportunity at Westwood.
We'll have a little bit of disadvantage, but I think we'll pick it up quick enough, and it's just going to be a hard race, that one.
As far as learning the track, there's only 3 or 4 corners at Westwood. They won't have any trouble with that.
The race itself will probably be the Eastern boys again.
We're going to have snow for the shootout. I hope they realize that. We have got snow tires available for West only because they're specially cut, and they're available now. They're in the West. So other than that, no, I think they'll have a good time. We'll look after them.
Going to the shootout.
Now we're ready for the Western final in the Players Limited GM Motorsport Series. Again, 3 titles up for grabs here, Paul.
And the big one, the championship. Frank Allers led only the last half of the season. The real fight has come from Rick Payne, who started off very quickly, but has now slipped back into second place and has a mathematical chance to win.
With the 10 points I got for qualifying second, I'm 28 behind him going into the race, so it would have to take a pretty bad race by Frank, even if I do win, for me to take the series. So I'm not even going to concern myself with that. I'm just going out to run the race and hopefully win.
Just as important for the Western competitors is, are they going to make the shootout here at Vancouver? And that's a real war in the West.
Andy Mahut at the moment has the 6th and final spot eligible for the shootout. But behind him are 3 drivers, all of whom have a mathematical chance of overtaking him. Bill Drosses, Todd Nickel, and Carl Haar could all earn that number 6 spot.
The fans are on their feet awaiting the start of this Western final. One battle that will heat up today is for Rookie of the Year. Here in car 14, Brent Hartsburg with his co-driver.
Facing them are Ron Farina and his co-driver, Elf.
Well, as they roll out to the grid, let's have a look at this Western lineup, Paul.
The 6th fastest qualifier starting on the front row, points leader, Frank Allers.
On the outside of that front row, Bill Drossos, a bit of a surprise, but capable.
On the second row is veteran Tony Morris. He is Frank Allers' teammate, but is fighting to make the shootout.
Right beside Tony is Trevor Siebert. He's a fan favorite, a real contender in today's race.
Second fastest driver starting 5th is Rick Payne. He is in a fight for 2nd overall and will charge early.
The quickest of all, though, Edmonton's Kevin Dowler, another young gun looking for a win today. He is the Mohawk Premium Plus fastest qualifier.
Row 4 features Andy Mahut in a tight battle for a final shootout spot.
In row 6 and 7, we find Kevin Dowler's uncle Eric sitting in car number 18.
Row 9 has rookie contender Ron Farina in the red Firebird number 22.
Calgary native Craig Jennings rounding out the field in that number 60 Camaro, and they look to be at speed, about ready for a start.
Large field down onto the front straightaway, and there's the green flag. We've got a race, and Frank Allers jumps into an early lead.
And it is a massive medal on this start in Calgary. I don't know how long Allers is going to hang on to this, but it looks like 3, 4 in a row. Oh, look at this, Payne and Dowler, both involved in an early incident here, and amazing more were not involved there, Paul.
There's Payne on the outside of the circuit, rams into the tire wall, gets the car up in the air. There's Kevin Dowler's car parked on the infield as Bill Drossos in car number 27 leads champion Frank Allers in car number 1 with Trevor Siebert running in third spot.
So with all this action happening here, young Drossos has taken advantage, leads the man who's looking for his third title here in the West. Now the red flag is up. That means full stoppage on the race as Dowler and Payne will now have a chance really to get back into it. We'll be back with a restart right after this break. Welcome back to Race City, Calgary for this wild Western final. A restart has been called as work continues on both cars involved in that first corner incident.
And a lot of crews involved in trying to repair. That's Kevin Dowler's car, number 35, and Rick Payne's. Let's have another look at it. The first lap, turn 1. Now we can see there, first sideways is Kevin Dowler. He goes to the inside. He taps Rick Payne in the brown car, who shoots all the way across the field. It's amazing he didn't collect somebody else. Let's have a look out the back of Frank Allers' car. There's Payne on the far right, and on the left, Dowler taps Tony Morris, who's in the sandwich, and then Payne hits him. It's a chain reaction. Before we know it, Payne's off one side of the track, Dowler's off the other side.
Well, as they roll out for yet another pace lap, let's have a look at a few more angles of this incident here. The view from number 75, Rick Payne's nose-mounted camera here in his car.
It starts so fast. There goes Dowler right across in front of him, and before you know it, Payne is sliding off the road, through the dirt, and into the grass.
Well, the dirt's flying, and there's some of that prairie meadow. Now let's go in car with Tony Morris in number 88, and here's how he saw it from the sandwich point of view, Paul.
Boy, Tony was the meat in the sandwich. Look at this. Cars crossing every which way in front of him, and he didn't manage to hit anybody. It's a miracle.
In car now with Kevin Dowler. Here's how he saw the whole incident.
And it happened pretty fast. He seems to be enjoying the ride. Whooping and yelling as he picks up a little bit of prairie dust.
Sounds like he's on a bucking bronco there. Beautiful view of some wheat fields out here in Calgary as the field come through in order, and we are now ready for the restart. There goes the green flag. Let's try it again.
Okay, the car's damage did not lose any starting position, so the guys up front may not be finished yet. Allers out front, Drossos in second place, Trevor Siebert running in third, Tony Morris, Kevin Dowler, and Rick Payne right behind them. Look at this, 5 abreast into turn 1 again.
Oh, they've got all kinds of prairie to play with out here in Calgary, but now that Frank Allers is in front, he wants to hang on to it. Drossos did not have the advantage on this restart, Paul.
Drossos has dropped well back. As we can see, Frank Allers going through the turn out front. Whoa, he's way up on the speed curve. Trevor Siebert looks for an opportunity, but he can't get through.
Watching Payne and Dowler there, it's amazing to me the durability of these Camaros, how beautifully they held up with all those incidents, and now they're right back at race tempo here as Siebert is chasing Frank Allers, and what a beautiful chase out front.
The top 2 cars starting to pull away from the rest of the field. Look at the damage to the front of Rick Payne's car as he gets really loose out into the dirt, throws the left rear wheel over the speed curbing. Now, let's have a look out the back of Frank Allers' car, Trevor Siebert in car number 9. Siebert, the young Charger, he's a great stock car racer. He loves the close contact of this series. Right up behind Frank Allers through the final corner. He's almost nudging him, and he pulls to the inside.
Now, did he get by? In fact, he did. Well, you've got a new race leader at this point, and that wily old veteran has been sent back into second place.
Young Trevor Siebert out onto the start-finish straight in car number 9. Frank Allers is not giving up, however. Look how close he is behind Siebert, and he moves out of the draft to try a pass into turn 1.
Allers comes up directly beside Siebert and, in fact, has gained the advantage by the time they get back to the corner. Frank Allers is back in the lead here in Calgary.
Trevor Siebert in second place. That's Bill Drossos in third. Now, let's have a look out the back here with Trevor Siebert in car number 9. This Frank Allers leading him, and Siebert gets a little sideways, and Drossos looks for an opportunity to go on the inside to take second place. Inside now with Tony Morris as we watch this battle for second and third.
Siebert and Drossos having a go at each other one more time. Drossos, I think, had a little taste of what it's like to lead an event earlier on that first start. He wants to get back up there, but Allers looks very comfortable, in fact, running in front.
Everybody driving very aggressively. Look at how much they're bouncing off the curbs and into the dirt. There goes Rick Payne off again in exactly the same place he did it on the lap before. This track is perfect for that. You can't really hurt the car too much if you run off the road. There's a lot of exit room if you make a mistake.
I really get the feeling too many of the cars back of Rick are, in fact, following his line a little too tightly. We're in car with Kevin Dowler. Kevin is chasing Payne in number 75 at this point and is going to try to have a go at him one more time. A little wary watching these two fighting each other after what happened on the start ball.
Watch for Rick Payne in that badly damaged car, number 75. He's in the draft behind Tony Morris, and he pulls out, heading into turn 1. He's going to try to outbrake Morris into the turn. Now we watch in car with Kevin Dowler in car number 35. As he comes up on Tony Morris, Rick Payne got through. He's back up on the speed curves again. Payne loves running on the curves.
Remember the last time out here in Calgary, Tony Morris was in fact a race champion. He's not having that same luck, at least not off the restart here. But his teammate Frank Aller's very strong out in front. Number 1 dominates, but he's got some young lions after him right here.
Trevor Siebert running in second place in car number 9. There's our leader, Frank Aller's in number 1. Behind him, Trevor Siebert. Bill Dross's right behind him in car 27. And then Rick Payne, number 75, with all that tape on the nose of his car, running in 4th spot. Inside now with Kevin Dowler in car number 35 as he chases Tony Morris, the teammate of leader Frank Allers.
Okay, if he can get by Morris, he will be up into 5th spot, which would be a beautiful return for Dowler considering the damage he's got in the car and the incident we had earlier here. He comes right up on Morris, bang! He decides he'll have a go on the inside, and I think he got him.
Well, Kevin Dowler driving aggressively. Obviously, his excursion off the track on the first lap has not intimidated him whatsoever. He's now set his sights on the front-running cars. There's Kevin Dowler in car number 35, looking cool and calm.
It's amazing to consider how cool and calm he does look. In fact, sitting there in the office, especially watching the configuration of the cars in this Calgary track, they're flying to the left, to the right. Everyone is flying except Allers out in front.
Now inside with number 75, Rick Payne in 4th, chasing Bill Drossos, number 27, directly in front of him. Look at this. Payne's off the road again and bang, runs into Drossos, dives down to the inside on that corner to try to attempt to pass, and he's done it, but he's barely ahead of Drossos. Now he's ahead, number 75 in a badly damaged car.
In car with Tony Morris. Tony is running 6th overall. We're watching the battle, though, for 3rd that is directly in front of him here. And these 3 cars are right on top of each other. I think Tony's going to wait for them to have an incident. Then he'll make his move.
Can't believe how much they're bouncing off these curves. There goes Kevin Dowler. He's going to try a pass on Drossos on the outside. Now watch, there's Rick Payne on the left, car number 75. And Kevin Dowler has picked up a spot, number 35. He's by Bill Drossos, number 27.
Bill Drossos slams the brakes on there, and again we get the rear view from Allers' car. Siebert right up on his bumper.
Trevor Siebert trying to set up Frank Allers to retake the lead. Look at Siebert, nice long slide up onto the speed curbing. Beautifully executed down the front straightaway. He's in a good position now behind Frank Allers heading into the first turn.
I don't think you're going to find any mistakes out of Frank Allers. This man is a master in front, so it may be just the driving ability, and Siebert's going to show it off right here.
Well, you can see Siebert left his braking very late. The nose of the car dove down just as he hammered on the brakes, and he retook the lead, bouncing off the curb. He's gotten a big slide. If he keeps this up, he won't hold off Frank Allers for too long. If anything, Allers is a smooth driver. Now, look at Rick Payne running in 3rd spot in car number 75. He's going to have a run at Frank Allers as well. Meanwhile, Trevor Siebert is really pushing that car.
Okay, there's Trevor Siebert, now the race leader. Frank Allers doing his best to hold on to him. Rick Payne is now right up on Frank Allers' tailpipe. Rick moves to the inside of this course, tries the outside. They bob back and forth. Now, looking back from Frank Allers' car, he's sitting in 2nd place. Look at the change of the paint job in this 3rd place car driven by Rick Payne. Amazing to me still, Paul, how these cars have endured after the incidents here today. And Payne makes a move.
Look at this, stabbing right back. Rick Payne at number 75 on the inside of Frank Allers to take 2nd place, and Kevin Dowler goes by Frank Allers. He's into 3rd. In one corner alone, Frank Allers has slipped from 2nd all the way back to 4th, but he's punching back at Kevin Dowler, number 35.
Indeed he is. He is right up on Dowler. He's holding on to him as best he can. Maybe Allers is saying, why did I get banged up in that first start here today? Now the two of them drift way to the outside. I don't know what advantage they thought they may find out there, Paul, but they were well out of the line.
They're playing with each other. Every driver trying to find some little advantage going into this first corner. And Trevor Siebert must be looking in his mirrors, wondering what's going on behind him and hoping those three don't catch him and involve him in this mad dash for second place. There's Rick Payne in second now. He manages not to run the car off the road for a change.
This time Payne gets way up in the dirt, and in fact he takes Dowler with him. They're following a little too close in some of these lines, I think, Paul.
Rick Payne is driving very aggressively. Let's take a look at Rick Payne now, up close.
28-year-old Rick Payne from Coquitlam, BC, competes in 1990 in his third year in the Players Limited GM Motorsport Series.
Other than our crew chief, Warren Rowley, it's totally made up of our family. My mom, dad, my wife, and my two brothers, they all travel to all the races, work on the crew with us. We're totally family funded, you know, which we'd like to change for next year, but as of right now, it's a real close family operation.
In 1989, Payne's Camaro finished 8th in the overall Western Series standings, a significant improvement to his 15th place finish in his rookie year. Payne's racing career has many accomplishments, both in super stock car and karting championships. But what about the danger that's associated with stock car racing?
You never think about the danger. As soon as you start thinking, you know, about hitting concrete walls, other cars, you know, at speed, you've lost half the battle right there. You just can't worry about that. I think, you know, these cars are very safe. You know, I believe, you know, obviously you could get hurt, but I think that it's safer than driving on the freeway. I've seen a lot of kamikaze pilots out there, so.
With his sights set on stock car racing, Payne's future looks promising for this talented Western driver.
Well, Rick Payne has certainly been the story here today, starting in the tire wall, currently running second, and a lot of tape in front of that car, but he's being challenged.
Kevin Dowler pulling to the inside, under braking in turn one, and Kevin Dowler, the two drivers who ran off the road in the first corner, Dowler's now in second.
The standings, Trevor Siebert is the race leader, then Dowler, Payne, Frank Aller sitting back in fourth, and we'll be right back. Mosport was the scene of the very first Players Limited GM Motorsport race in 1986. Who won?
Richard Spinard won the first race in the series, and he has since accumulated the most wins of any driver.
The all-time lap record for GM cars at Race City in Calgary is a 1:28.854. Now, who was the driver?
The lap record was set on lap 3 of today's race. It was posted by Rick Payne.
Frank Allers has already won another major Canadian professional road racing title in 1990. Which one?
Frank is this year's Players Limited Formula Atlantic champion.
Welcome back to the race action here in Calgary's Race City for the Western Final. We follow the battle for the lead. It's still Siebert out front.
And Siebert is the Goodyear mid-race leader. That's good for some tires and some cash for Trevor Siebert in car number 9 as he heads down the front straightaway.
Now, Kevin Dowler, of course, is working on Siebert at this point. Rick Payne sitting in third place, and this has been a war that is not about to stop now. There's Frank Allers, the reigning champion in the West. Can he hang on to it this year?
Unusual to see Allers running in fourth. Look at this. Kevin Dowler's going to have a run at Trevor Siebert, and he's done it under braking into the first corner. A big slide coming out of the turn. Number 35, Kevin Dowler, who was off the road in the first corner of the first lap, came back after the restart. He's now in front of Trevor Siebert in car number 9.
Well, Siebert is doggedly trying to hang on to this. Let's go in car now with Rick Payne, car number 75. Ricky is sitting in third place, and he's watching these two cars in front of him, wondering when he might get back up here to have a battle for the overall lead.
Watching and listening to Rick Payne work his way around Race City Speedway in third spot as he chases down the leaders.
Now, there are two Mohawk team cars battling for the lead. With all the concern about the environment, many feel racing is a threat. Actually, racing provides an opportunity for Mohawk, the official fuel of the Western Series, to develop cleaner burning, more efficient fuel.
Premium Plus is blended with ethanol And ethanol is an octane enhancer, and also as a renewable fuel, provides increased oxygen to the fuel and reduces emissions of carbon monoxide. So is, in fact, the most environment-friendly fuel in Western Canada.
Look at this fight for 4th place now. On the inside, going into turn 1, number 27, Bill Drossos has passed Frank Allers, the Rating Series champion, in car number 1. Drossos driving a magnificent race here this afternoon as we get back to the leaders now. Look at what's going on up front with Kevin Dowler and Trevor Siebert. Siebert looking for a way to get through.
Going in car here, Frank Allers. Frank is sitting back in 5th place right now, but this may be the spot to sit and watch this race from, Paul. He's got young Drossos directly in front of him, and of course Bill is now working on Rick Payne, who's in front of him. And then there's still the two that are directly in front. But what a war in Calgary. They are really fighting it out for this championship.
Frank Allers is watching a good race from his position. Look at them all bouncing off the curbs. Dirt being kicked up. Allers can't even see where he's going half the time with all those drivers running over the speed curving in front.
Remember, on the first start, young Bill Drossos, in fact, led this entire pack. He's now sitting a little further back in this field, but you get the feeling that he's about to make his move. Siebert almost does, in fact, on our race leader.
Kevin Dowler being pushed hard. Dowler leading the race. Siebert in 2nd. Rick Payne 3rd. Drossos there, number 27, running in 4th. And Frank Allers in 5th place. All of them very close together. This race is anybody's at this point.
Now, Drossos makes a move.
On the inside, a popular place to pass at turn 1. He's got Rick Payne in car 75, and he's picked up another spot. Drossos really driving well, but he's way off in the dirt. I spoke too soon. He comes back on the track. He didn't lose a position, and he didn't hit Rick Payne. Now, that was a moment for Rick Payne, I'm sure, when he stopped breathing, waiting to see what Drossos was going to do.
Boy, you talk about focus. You've really got to have it. Here we are with Rick Payne, in fact, who's racing in 4th place right now, but he's about, trying to make it 3rd, Paul.
He's very close to Drossos. He's trying to pick up a position. Look at this. Here are the leaders, Kevin Dowler, Trevor Siebert running in 2nd.
It's a wild and exciting Players Limited GM Motorsport Series West final, and we'll be back for the finish after this. Welcome back to Race City in Calgary as Dowler and Siebert, teammates. They're hard at it, battling for the lead in this race, but there's lots happening behind them as well.
Hard at it is right, Jim. Look at this. They're door handle to door handle. The teammate, Siebert, on the left. Dowler on the right. Dowler holding onto his line and trying to hold on to 1st place. Siebert, well, look at this. They're bumping. They've actually hit. That was tire smoke off of Dowler's car after touching Siebert. Dowler manages to hang on. Now, here comes Bill Drossos in car number 27, trying to pass Trevor Siebert and take over 2nd place. We're on the last lap.
Well, if Bill is going to make a move in 27, he's got to do it now. The last lap sign is out, as you point out, Paul. Drossos is, in fact, in 2nd place now, and now he'll go after... Oh, no. Siebert says, I'm coming back.
Trevor Siebert dives to the inside, but he just has... Now, here goes Drossos again off the road. This time he manages to bump Trevor Siebert, but they both stayed on the track.
Well, I don't know whether that's going to get you a win or not. You don't really want to get off the course. You want to hold the best line you can, yet stay on this track, Paul.
Well, in that corner, the best line for Bill Drossos seems to be the dirt, not the pavement. Kevin Dowler, meanwhile, in car number 35, is leading. They're holding out a blue flag for him, but I'm sure he knows the competitors are right behind him. There's Drossos, number 27, over the curbing. Trevor Siebert in 3rd spot. Big slide, and Rick Payne once again into the dirt in car 75.
Indeed he is, and here is an attempted move as they come along, thinking of the checkered flag. Siebert says, oh, no, I'm going to get you, Drossos. I want 2nd. Oh, he gets sideways.
Big slide. He overcooked it into the turn, and he's way off on the dirt. Rick Payne has slipped through. He's past Trevor Siebert. Look at this. There goes Frank Allers, and Trevor Siebert's back on the road.
Dowler comes through to grab the checkered flag. Drossos has to go at him at the flag, but does not pull it off, Paul. Rick Payne gets 3rd place. There is ecstasy in this pit today, believe me.
And there's 4th place, number 1, Frank Allers. He repeats as a Western Series champion.
What a great victory today for Kevin Dowler, who had that incident on the initial start, and young Bill Drossos coming through with one of his finest runs in the West in 1990.
Let's have a look at the last corner. There's Drossos, number 27 on the inside. Trevor Siebert on the outside in car 9. Siebert way too fast into the corner, off his line, got the car sideways right off onto the dirt. And an unfortunate incident for Trevor Siebert after he had run so well all day.
Dowler. He brings the car home safely. We were concerned he may do that, considering what had happened earlier today, but very excited young man. Rick Payne, of course, equally happy.
There's Payne congratulating young Bill Drossos. A great run for him.
Well, a lot of people led it, but Kevin Dowler won.
You know, the whole crew, they were fantastic. They brought us back from the deficit on Friday when we were in the program to being the fastest car in qualifying, and then we finally did it in the race today. You know, I think some people didn't want us to win, but we showed them we can win.
And now the stage is set for the shootout. Frank Allers, Kevin Dowler, Rick Payne, Trevor Siebert, Tony Morris, and Andy Mahood will join the top 6. They're ready for the East this year.
Yeah, I think we're going to turn the tables on them this time at Westwood. We're ready for them.
Well, if you thought the Eastern Final was exciting, this Western Final was jam-packed with excitement, Paul.
What a great race for Kevin Dowler to come back from that first lap incident and then win the race. And for Frank Allers, he finished 4th, good enough for the championship, his 4th in the Western Series. And Andy Mahood, he locked up his 6th and final starting spot for the shootout.
That's it for the regular series. I'm Jim Paulson with Paul Chater. Join us for the shootout.
I'll shave now, okay, if anyone cares in the world.
The GM Motorsport Hour, brought to you by General Motors of Canada Limited and by Quality GM Parts, Players Limited of Canada, Priority Courier, and Sony of Canada.